Hello and welcome to AKCess Pro. Today we're going to be taking a look at AKCess Pro Server and how to add devices to the application and access the information of those devices. So let's jump in and get started. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead and I've opened the application, and this is exactly how the application looks when you first finished installing it. So let's have a look at how we go ahead and add sensorProbe or securityProbe base units to the software. Well, first of all, what we need to do is go to Add, which is right at the top up here, and we'll click that, and then we're going to click Add AKCP device. Okay, and this brings up a new dialog window. In the first place here, what we need to do is add our IP address, which in this case is 10.1.5.254. We're going to leave the username as administrator, and I'm going to write the SNMP right community, which in this case is public, and click Add. Okay, so straight away now if we go over to the Server Explorer window, you can see that we now have a base unit which is called the Testing Sec or Testing Security Probe, and it's also got the IP address in brackets. Now at the moment you can see that I'm on the Sensors tab. Now the good thing about AKCess Pro is if you've got cameras connected to the security probe, you don't have to re-add the security probe for every one of these tabs that you switch between. So for example, if we go to the cameras tab, you can see that the security probe is there, and if we go to the doors for the access control part of the program, you can see that it's there as well. So you only have to add it one time, which is very nice indeed. Now what we need to do, let's go back to the Sensors tab here. If we twirl down, we click this little plus box here, we can see that we have the main module, and let's twirl that down as well. You can see that we have an airflow sensor and a temperature sensor connected to this security probe. Now before we go ahead and actually have a look at the information of these two sensors, let's just focus for a moment on the desktop. Now if we go to the workspace window, which is in the top left hand corner here, you can see that the desktop 1, which is also listed on the tab here, is listed in the workspace window. Now just for the sake of this tutorial, let's rename the desktop something a little bit more appropriate. So if by right clicking on desktop in the workspace window, we'll click rename, and we'll rename this Sensors, and we'll click off, and instantly you can see that this tab is now called Sensors. So now that we've named that Sensors, let's go ahead and look at some of the sensor information contained within the security probe. So first of all, we're going to look at the temperature sensor. Now to access this, all you simply do is drag and drop this onto the main desktop window, and instantly you can see that we have a window that's here, and it contains the sensor name, it contains the IP address of the base unit, it contains the current reading of that sensor, and also the current status. So now let's go ahead and add another sensor to the window. In this case we'll add the airflow sensor, and we'll do exactly the same thing again and drag it over onto the window. So that's how you add multiple sensors to the desktop. Now the thing about this is if you have multiple security probes with multiple sensors, you can see that this window would start to fill up with sensor information very quickly, and it would become very cluttered. So let's have a look at how we can remedy that. So just for now, let's get rid of the airflow sensor, and we'll leave the temperature sensor in place in the main sensors desktop. Now this time what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the airflow sensor, but what we're going to do, instead of drag and dropping it into the main window, we're actually going to drag and drop this into the sensor window. So you can see that you can actually add multiple sensors into one window. So straight away this clears quite a bit of space on your window to add other information. Such as a system log. Now the way that we access the system log is right here. We'll click the green bar and we'll drag and drop this onto the window, and here you can see that we have our sensor status summary. We also have our log here, which logs all the information of that particular security probe. Now again, let's try and tidy this information up. So we'll click this off for now, and we'll also click off this for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new desktop. So to do that, we can click this little plus arrow here, and we'll leave it on desktop and click add. Now again, we'll go back over to the workspace window, we'll right click on desktop 1, and we'll click rename, and we'll name this syslog, and we'll click off. So now we have another window with the syslog, and what we're going to do is we'll go back over to the green here on the sensors, and we'll drag and drop it into this window. So now we have two desktop windows, syslog and sensors, so you can see that we have all this information contained in a nice neat way. Now, as I've been doing this, you may have noticed that when I've clicked on either one of these sensors, the temperature port and the airflow port, you have a little icon to the right hand side here which looks like a little graph, and that's because that's exactly what it is. It's a graph. So again, by dragging and dropping this into the window, we can actually bring up the graphing data for that particular sensor. That's the airflow, and let's bring up the temperature, and again it brings up all the graphing data for that particular sensor. Now again, rather than keeping it in this particular window, let's click off these, let's go back to the workspace window. We'll add another desktop, we'll go to desktop 1, rename, and we'll rename it graphs. Click off, and let's add some graphs to this window. So that's 1 and 2. So instantly you can start to see how the program runs its basic functions very easily, having multiple desktop windows here to sort all your information. So essentially that's how you add a device to the desktop. It's how you create multiple desktops, and I hope you found this information useful. Thanks for watching.